Two women were attacked here, and one of those women has died, the other in the hospital. And right now, police are saying this was totally random. Now, it all happened around 9:45 last night. Both of those women were getting off the train when it happened. Police say that the man who did it is described as a white man in his 20s or 30s with short hair and a heavy build.
Welcome back to the channel, and thanks for being here. If you haven't subscribed yet, then make sure you do that so you'll be kept up to date when I upload new videos, which is at least twice every week. In the story I'll be telling you about today, a young woman whose life had just begun had that life brutally ended by a complete stranger. And was it just a random attack, or was there more behind this stranger's motive? Nia Wilson was born on November 12, 1999, to her father Ansar El Muhammad and her mother Alicia Grayson. She was the youngest of 9 children, which included her 6 sisters and 2 brothers. Nia was a cheerleader, and she also loved dancing. She dreamed of one day owning her own dance studio. Nia also loved rapping, and so much in fact that she and a few of her cousins had formed a rap group called Girls in the Hood. She was given the nickname PG, which was short for Pretty Girl. Additionally, Nia was known to be very talented with her makeup. She herself wouldn't go anywhere without looking presentable, as she was very passionate about the way she looked and carried herself at all times. The 18-year-old was also said to be very loving, happy, and caring. Nia was set to graduate from high school in December of 2018, and after she did, she wanted to become a paramedic or work in criminal justice. On the night of July 22, 2018, Nia Wilson and 2 of her sisters, Latifa and Tashia, were returning from a party at their aunt's home in Concord, California. They had gotten onto a BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit train, at Concord Station around 9 p.m., and they were planning on transferring trains at MacArthur Station in order to get back to their home in Oakland. But the 3 women didn't realize that they were being watched ever since they had boarded the train in Concord. After closely watching Nia and her sisters while they waited for the train, a man who was wearing a hoodie and sunglasses had gotten on right after them. He had then sat just seats away from the women and kept an eye on them the entire train ride. At approximately 9:30 p.m., they would disembark the train at MacArthur Station so they could board the next train to get back to their home. And when they did, this man who had been watching Nia and her sisters got off the train as well. As he did this, he followed behind them, then suddenly stopped and reached down towards his pant leg where it looked like he was hiding something. And he was. The man pulled out a knife. He then walked right up to the sisters and slashed Nia's throat. The man had also stabbed Nia's sister Latifa in her neck, but even though Latifa was also injured, she still ran to her sister Nia's aid. And she attempted to soothe her by saying to her, "We're gonna get through this, I got you, you're my baby sister." As she was comforting her sister, Latifa said that she saw the attacker wiping his knife and looking back at them, before he then turned and headed down the stairs and out of the station. Video surveillance footage showed the perpetrator trying to blend in with the other passengers following the attack. It also showed him purposely trying to mislead officers as he exited the BART station. This man had then taken the knife that he used to attack Nia and her sister, and he threw it into a construction site that was just outside of the train station. Following this, he was seen on camera changing out of his hoodie, pants, and shoes and into new clothing that he'd brought along with him inside of his backpack. So it seems like this man had some sort of plan in place. And even though medical aid was not far away, Nia Wilson sadly died at the scene. Her sister, who was also injured, was taken to a nearby hospital where she ended up making a full recovery.
I feel like I didn't protect her like I was supposed to. Little sister was the most sweetest person on this earth, She didn't do nothing to nobody. I didn't do nothing to nobody. And for this to happen is just outright crazy. We just coming from a family function, and going on our way home like we usually don't talk to nobody, just listening to our music, and all of a sudden we transfer, and just to get blindsided by a maniac. For what? I don't know why. We was letting the BART passenger and her child come out from the train so we can enter. By the time my other little sister, she was on train. So we let the woman back up with her stroller. She backed up as we walking on. Then he started attacking. And I looked back and he was wiping off his knife and stood at the stairs and just looked. And then from there on, I was caring for my sister. I was in shock because I was hurting from the side. So I didn't know I was cut, but because I was paying more attention to my little sister. But he just stood there like it was nothing. And he just ran. He fled the scene. She just yelled my name. Tifa, Tifa, Tifa. And I said, I got you, baby, I got you. Just calm down because she has real bad anxiety.
And what did you say to her in those final moments as you were with her?
I love her, and we're going to get through this. I got you. You're my baby sister. Remember her for her, not what you hear. That was my little sister. Loving, caring, helping any and everybody. But I just wish that it'd be more helpful if we get more security or make the BART more safer, because we don't ride BART like that. She'd hate BART. She will not sit on BART. She will just stand there. She will not catch BART only if we really have to go somewhere. And that's myself too. As young black women, we shouldn't have to look behind our back 24/7. We should be living freely like everybody else. Why everybody else get to live freely and we gotta look behind our back every 24/7 because of fear of like this. He didn't know us, we didn't know him. Wasn't no altercation, but he just felt upon himself to take his anger or whatever the case may be out on innocent women. I just want justice for my sister.
And immediately following the attack, police began to search for their suspect. When authorities watched the video surveillance footage, they would discover that the man who had attacked Nia and her sister had discarded his sweatshirt and backpack at a nearby construction site. They were then able to recover these items, and inside the backpack, police found some additional items that contained the suspect's name and date of birth. His name was John Cowell. Then, more than 12 hours after Nia had been killed, police finally released a picture of the perpetrator's face, and they asked the public to keep an eye out for him, and also warned that he was very dangerous. Prior to the attack, this man, John Cowell, had been in the same train car as Nia and her sisters. However, they had not interacted. There was also no information suggesting that there had been any type of dispute between them before or during the ride. What had happened seemed completely unprovoked and unwarranted. The public's initial perception was that the attack on Nia had been racially motivated. This ended up spurring protests at the local MacArthur BART station as well as online. The evening after Nia's murder, nearly 1,000 protesters looking for justice attended a vigil for her, before then taking to the streets surrounding MacArthur BART station. They were carrying signs with Nia Wilson's name and chanting, "No justice, no peace."
No justice, no peace! No justice, no peace!
The crowds raised their signs and their voices at the growing memorial. Nia's mother also attended. She was consoled by family, friends, and a community of support.
This man just came and did all this to my baby, though. My baby. She didn't deserve this.
At one point, the memorial moved from the MacArthur BART station into downtown Oakland. Police say about 1,000 people were part of the march. Some joined in a pro-Oakland demonstration. It was organized to counter a white supremacist group that had announced plans to gather at a bar. Although police say they have not yet found any specific evidence that the attack was racially motivated, some demonstrators believe otherwise.
She was slain in the streets on the BART station at MacArthur by a white supremacist male for no reason, who had no idea who she was, never seen her a day in his life. He targeted her and he executed. And we want him to pay. We want justice, and we want it now.
The same night as the protest, July 23rd, a BART rider recognized local transient John Cowell after seeing him on the local news, and the rider had immediately contacted police. John Cowell was then placed under arrest at the Pleasant Hill BART station at 6:27 p.m. on July 23, 2018. He was charged with first-degree murder as well as attempted murder and held without bail.
See you in a minute. What's your name, sir?
John Cowell.
John Cowell's parents came out publicly and said that they believed the attack had been motivated by their son's mental illness. John Cowell actually suffered from multiple mental illnesses, including bipolar and schizophrenia. However, he had never received the proper treatment for these issues. John had also been in and out of jail, and he was currently living on the streets after his own family took out a restraining order against him. His troubles with the law had begun when he was only 18 years old, and at that time, he had attacked and assaulted a 51-year-old man as well as punched that man's daughter in the face. This had come after the man had confronted John about a recent burglary in his home. And in 2016, he'd been found guilty of second-degree robbery after he'd brandished a knife as well as a fake gun at the Lucky store in El Cerrito Plaza. He was then sentenced to 2 years in prison, but John would end up spending most of that time at a state-run mental health facility for mentally ill convicts, before then being released in May of 2018, just months prior to Nia's murder. Also in 2016, John had been arrested for petty theft, illegal possession of tear gas, possession of a legal smoking device, and drug possession. Also that year, Kaiser Medical Center had to file a restraining order against him after he threatened to kill one of their employees. And John was arrested in 2015 for methamphetamine possession. And just days prior to Nia's murder, John had walked into a local hospital and told his doctor that he no longer wanted to take his medication because it was poison. Now, he said that his medication was poison, but John had also been a known methamphetamine and heroin user since he was only 15 years old. And Nia's father expressed his doubt about the suggestion that the attack had been because of John's mental illness. He said, "Basically, I think it's an excuse. I hate to say it, but, why would you choose 2 young black girls? That's all I want to say." Nia's sister, Malika Harris, agreed with her father, and she said, "He wasn't mentally ill. He was aware of everything that was going on. If he was mentally ill after the incident, why go change your clothes? Why would you change your clothes? Wipe off the knife." Then, in December of 2019, John Cowell was found fit to stand trial by a judge. This had come after he had decided that he was no longer going to cooperate with the doctors who were supposed to evaluate him. The case would finally go to trial in February of 2020, and John pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. While many still believe that Nia's murder was a hate crime, prosecutors declined to press those charges against John. He was, however, given the additional charge of lying in wait. And even though John had not been charged with the hate crime, the question of whether or not the attack on Nia and her sisters had been racially motivated would come up in court. During the trial, it was discovered that John had actually been punched in the face by a black woman about a week before he had murdered Nia. The prosecution also dropped a bombshell in court. And they said that John had actually called an African-American woman the N-word on an AC Transit just after the stabbing. This prompted gasps throughout the courtroom. Also, during the trial, John Cowell would take the witness stand and testify in his own defense. And his testimony was extremely odd. He would say that he heard voices in his head for years. And sometimes these voices were looking for fake skin. They were also looking for lots of sex and to pay for prostitution, he said. John then began to talk about aliens putting fake skin on people and alien technology in his ear. While he was on the stand, John also admitted that he had been under more involuntary psychiatric holds than he could remember. He had also been offered medication while he was in jail awaiting his trial, but he had refused it. And it's unclear if he had taken medication prior to that, because according to John, he doesn't remember large periods of time in the summer of 2018. And when John had been released from the mental hospital just months prior to Nia's murder, he said that he had been hearing voices then, but he couldn't remember what they had been telling him. He also went on to testify that Nia and her sisters were aliens who were wearing fake skin and part of a gang. John claimed that they had been communicating via the radio, and they had kidnapped his grandmother and were threatening to assault her. That's why he attacked them, he claimed. Throughout his trial, John had repeatedly declared himself as not guilty. He also had to be removed from the courtroom twice during the trial due to his disruptive behavior. Nia's family, however, believed that he was just putting on an act to look even more crazy. The prosecution was also determined to prove that John wasn't as crazy as he was acting. They believed that he knew exactly what he was doing at the time that he had attacked the women.
Suspect John Lee Cowell lasted about 15 minutes this morning before a judge removed him from the witness stand. The judge had enough. Cowell was combative toward the prosecutor and yelled a bunch of incoherent things during questioning.
He kept saying, last time you said I'm not found guilty. Now, so what do you want me to say now? Like, last time you say that I'm not guilty. And he just started getting really hyper and hyper and hyper.
The suspected killer also directed some profanities at the prosecutor before being escorted out. The outburst happened as the prosecutor was showing surveillance video of the attack on a BART platform in Oakland that killed Nia Wilson in 2018. Wilson's family and friends say Cowell was putting on a performance almost worthy of an Oscar nomination.
We hope the jury see what it is, too. It's a show. It's an act. He's very smart. He's using big words.
I believe he's been coached. It's just an act to me. He's showing signs of manipulation. I'm here to get justice for my sister and myself and my other little sister, Tashai, as well.
There was also some family and friends who testified during John Cowell's trial. One person said they had known him since he was 15 years old, and he had turned from a troubled teen into a deeply disturbed adult who was always paranoid. A woman named Georgina Agnesich, who lived a few doors down from John, testified that about 5 years prior, John had called her from a BART station and told her that he needed a ride. When she had gone down there and picked him up, she asked him where he needed to go, and he told her, "I don't know. I don't have anywhere I need to go." This woman also claimed that for about 6 months, John wouldn't speak to anyone until he checked their mouths first for transmitters. One time, he had even brought her into his bedroom and told her to look under his bed because there were snakes slithering under there. John's aunt, Sandra Fiera, also testified and said that her nephew was very much like his own mother, as she was also very paranoid, heard voices, talked to herself, and had erratic behavior. Due to this, John had been raised by his grandmother since he was 4. But recently, his grandmother had died, and he had been so close to her that John didn't know how to deal with her death. She believed that his mind's way of dealing with the tragedy was by having delusions that his grandmother had been kidnapped by aliens. Sandra even told the court that she had previously been told by John that she was an alien, and she had to contact the police at least twice because she had been scared of him. Additionally, this aunt testified that on July 22nd at 5 p.m., John had called her and left her several voicemails, saying that he was feeling scared and paranoid. Just hours later, Nia was murdered. In the end, John Cowell was found guilty, and he was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. He tried to appeal this sentence in January of 2023. However, it was unanimously rejected. The family of Nia Wilson has also filed a wrongful death lawsuit against BART stations. They claimed that the company had failed to protect Nia and her sisters, specifically because transit officers had actually caught John skipping fares just a few days prior, and he had previously been arrested at the station as well. In their opinion, he shouldn't have been allowed back in at all. The claim then states that John's violence was foreseeable and preventable. The claim also contended that 2 weeks prior to the attack on Nia and her sisters, 2 other BART passengers had been attacked by John. However, at the time, there was no BART officer around to take a report. Following Nia's slaying, hundreds of people gathered at the MacArthur BART station and held a vigil in honor of her. 2 memorials also began to grow as people left flowers, balloons, and candles. Nia's funeral, which was live-streamed, was held on August 3, 2018 at the Acts Full Gospel Church in East Oakland. During the ceremony, many spoke of the beautiful person that Nia was, including her young niece.
Teaching me how I miss you. I was told not to question God, but since you've been gone, I've been so confused. Teaching me, can I just see you one more time? I've been staying strong, trying not to cry. I know you're in a better place, and nobody can tell me otherwise. I had so much fun, like taking pictures and going to Six Flags, but I believe God had better plans. I always think about your big smile and your loving ways, and even in your crazy days. You are my auntie, my play mom, the one that I look up to now. And I'm only left with memories that I will never forget of you. Can you promise to come visit me in my dreams? Let me know that everything is okay and that by the grace of God, I'll see you again one day. I promise to always love and never forget you. I was your first niece, and this love is true.
Now, Nia was supposed to have graduated high school just months after her murder in December of 2018. But since she was never able to, her school, Dewey Academy, honored her memory during their graduation ceremony, where Nia's parents also proudly accepted her diploma on her behalf.
She was always too smart, too mature, and too grown.
The graduation ceremony was filled with references to Nia, including a video, speeches, and this moment. When Nia's mother and father stepped on stage, to accept their daughter's diploma.
I'm very proud. This is an achievement that me and my daughter sat down and spoke of several times, and it's so heartbreaking that she's not here to experience this for herself.
I am very proud of her. She was a good baby. She was growing up, but she was my baby. She was a beautiful child.
From the graduates and their families, tears for the potential lost, a smile and a light extinguished too soon, and a promise that she will always be in their hearts as they make their way in the world.
Our family will carry her legacy forever.
What happened to Nia that night is extremely horrifying and sad. I believe that John did target them because of their skin color. But he was also very unstable and delusional due to his mental health history and his heavy drug use. On top of that, he wasn't receiving proper mental health treatment or being treated by medication. Something horrific like this was just waiting to happen. It's just so awful that Nia and her family had to be the ones that suffered because of it. So if you like true crime and you want to hear it from me, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button below and turn on those notifications too, so you'll know when I upload a new video, which is at least twice every week. Thanks for watching A Wicked World today. Until next time, take care guys. Bye. Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon. So check it out at patreon.com/awickedworld or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims never get forgotten and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Do you have a suggestion for a case you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email at awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.